Hey, Vaxpreneur family. I wanted to make a quick one for you today. We made a tutorial yesterday, and it was kind of our introductory. It was episode 1. I did a live presentation, and we said this will be episode 1 of getting started. And I don't want to go through the whole background story, but if you're looking at Vaxpreneur right now, and maybe you were an unwilling or an unplanned entrepreneur, someone that didn't have self-employment as a first option, and now you find yourself, because of the vaccination situation, going, what am I going to do? What's next? This is where my heart has been falling lately. And it's, how can I help people find a sense of normalcy, or a sense of, okay, I can get to the next step, right? And the idea that you're not alone. Millions upon millions upon millions of people have said no to the agenda that's being put forth. And I don't want you to feel that you are alone or that there are no options. So yesterday we did episode 1. It's already available on the Vaxpreneur website under resources, right? But it was, what do you do with an idea? Like, so you're new to the self-employment gig, and you're thinking to yourself, well, what can I do? What can I do? I could babysit dogs. I could tune up bicycles. I can, I can sell books through Amazon. I can, you could have all of these things. And as these ideas begin to wash over you, you want to have a way to organize those ideas and a way to differentiate things. Now, one of the things that I had said in the episode yesterday was, log these ideas in some type of a digital kind of a notebook. I myself prefer OneNote, but log these ideas and then give yourself a space, give yourself a time, and then go back, review that list of ideas, and literally delete the ones that you wouldn't follow through on, or there wouldn't be an avenue for revenue or something like that. Like the ones that you immediately dismiss, just go ahead and delete them. You don't need to be distracted in an ongoing way about that. And then I had mentioned that, I recommended that you would go to Bluehost and register a URL and take advantage of their different email tools and things like that. As you want to grow something, anything that you grow, you're going to want to have some type of web presence for. So when I say web presence, I mean, you're going to want to have some type of website. Now that website, depending on the business, it could be just a landing page. It could be, Aunt Emma's fertilizer company, and it's just a 1-page thing with a graphic that says Aunt Emma's fertilizer company, and a phone number, and maybe an email or a form to fill in to get more information about Aunt Emma's fertilizer. It could be that you want to run a full-blown membership and learning platform that builds a community of people and has courses and gives reports and certifications, and you want to sell to other companies and all that stuff. And that's great, but there's steps to get there, right? And the first step that I wanted to talk about as far as web presence is reserving your URL. And the reason that I recommend Bluehost is eventually either you yourself, or you may want to hire out for somebody to build you a website on whatever URL you register, right? You're going to want something that's simple for someone to get into and make changes to. You're going to want something that is, easy to get access to, and you're going to want a way to manage email. This is something that people, this is a big one. When other professionals are talking about a website or a web presence, they're not talking about email. They're talking about building a website off of the URL. For instance, the URL to my company is Mañana No Mas. So www.mañananomas.com. Okay, so my email is kurt@mañananomas.com. And then I have other emails that are based off that, like web@mañananomas.com, info@mañananomas.com. And I use these different emails for different reasons. And when you go with like a company like Squarespace, okay, now, if you are thinking about starting a business, you've looked at things like Wix, Squarespace, I can't believe it. I can't remember the dude's name now. GoDaddy. That's it. GoDaddy. So you you've heard of these things and you're thinking, well, I'll look into this. I'll see what I should do. Well, a lot of these platforms will say you're limited to 3 email addresses. You're limited to 5 email addresses. And then if you want additional emails, you'll have to pay $15, $18, $20 a month to get another email. Another thing that comes up is some of these platforms, you'll establish the email. So, George@abc.com. And then you think that you're just going to be able to send and receive email through that email address. You can make the email address through the platform. But then what happens is the platform says you can't send or receive email unless you upgrade to this Microsoft product to send and receive email, or upgrade to this G Suite product through Google to send and receive email. And that to me is super, super frustrating. As a budding entrepreneur, I realized almost immediately that I would want multiple emails for my different URL projects for different reasons. Maybe I want to track the success of a social media campaign, so I want it to go to a special email address. Maybe I want to hire some people, and if I'm going to hire people, I want them to have the use of a company branded email so that they can interact as a representative of my company. And if I got to keep paying $15 a month, $20 a month, $30 a month for all these add-ons, I'm going to go broke quick. And so Bluehost is one of those sources where you can register the URL. It's very inexpensive. And then you can assign as many emails as you want to that system, right? And their hosting is very inexpensive. So what I do in Bluehost, because I have a lot of projects, is I have a hosting package, and that hosts a couple of my websites. And then I reserve all my other URLs in there. And then if I have a project that I want to build on a more competent server, this is a conversation for way down the road. But if I want to have a bigger project on a bigger server, I leave the URL in Bluehost. I build on that bigger server, off on the side, and then I point that server back to Bluehost to get the address. And we'll discuss all that down the road. But the first thing to do is to get over to Bluehost and to sign in and register. So what I want to do is I want to share my screen, and I'm going to go right to an open Google screen. I thought it would be best if I just did this right from the beginning for you. So we're going to go up here to the address bar at the top, and we're just going to type in bluehost.com. Simple. It's going to go to bluehost.com. Now, they have a simple page, and in here, there's login, yes, but you could, host your site, or you could do WordPress made easy. It really doesn't matter because either one of them, you're going to get access to WordPress tools anyway. But, go ahead and say website builder, WordPress made easy, start building. And then, you've got some options down here that give you some more information about what Bluehost is about. Now, I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in. Okay. And once you have your account, when you log in, you're going to go to a screen into a dashboard that's going to look pretty similar to the one that I've got here. Now, I've used a lot of different hosting companies and hosting offerings in the past, but Bluehost is one of the ones that I have stayed with. I think I've been with them over 15 years. So I've got a lot of stuff going on here. But if you take a look at, what you have for a dashboard here, my sites, marketplace, email and office, domains, marketing tools, advanced. I just want to cover this real quickly for people that are new to the environment. Okay. My sites, remember it said earlier, do you want to build WordPress or do you want to, have hosting? So WordPress is a different type of website. It used to be called a CMS, right? Content management system. And so WordPress is a place where you can build blogs. Originally it was for blogging, but now it does anything. You can do e-commerce, courses, classes, anything you want to do, you can do in WordPress. So my sites is where there's going to be a directory of all the different sites that may have been built within that platform. And as you can see by looking at my account, I've got a lot of websites that are in there already. And then marketplace is where you go to buy plugins that you would want to add to your website. And so there may be different reasons that you want to add security or personalize your email or things like that. But there's all these other protection things here. Let me give you a word of caution. When you first sign in, the system is going to throw you all kinds of things it's going to want you to buy. My personal advice, don't buy any of it. Get in, maybe reserve your URL, right? Because you want to reserve a URL, which is the address of your website, and maybe load up, WordPress, because it's a one-click install. Do you want to add WordPress to this URL? Then say yes, and then forego all of the other add-ons until we get further along in our process. There's a lot of good stuff out there, but there's a lot of stuff that you really, really don't need to launch your business. And I hate to see people get taken advantage of. So you can see right here with Marketplace, it expands into a sub menu, and it just goes on and on and on with things that you can add or buy with your package. Email and Office. That's one that I have described that I really, really like. So if I click on Email and Office, it's going to give me, a list of the URLs that I have, and then literally, I can just manage those accounts and add as many email addresses as I want. For today's discussion, we're going to talk about domains. So a domain is a URL, right? So you're going to hear this, and a registrar is the source or the company that you register your domain with. So I'm giving you these terms, and if you're taking notes, all the better, because people will try to scam you. People will send you letters in the mail that'll say, you can, extend your registration for 10 years for so many dollars. You can, your registration is going to expire. Your URL is going to expire. Send your check now. Realistically, if you register through Bluehost like I'm showing you, and you set it up to auto renew, you're not going to have any problems in trying to get something to go through. I didn't mean to say it like that. You're not going to have any problems with it expiring or going away. And Bluehost will send you notifications to your email from Bluehost. So that'll let you know what you're due for, or what is. Ignore stuff that comes in the mail. Ignore stuff that, is sent to you from unknown email addresses. When you register a URL, it sends off a series of ticks on the internet that, like, hey, this has been registered. And then a bunch of other scammers, they get that information because it's public information. They get that information and they try to leverage it for their personal good. And you don't want to get stuck in that. Okay. So domains, you can, your domains, you can purchase a domain, you can assign a domain. You can redirect a website to another website. For instance, if I wanted everybody that typed in vonconcepts.com to go to servicewriterbook.com, I would go over to redirects, and I would put in, hey, direct vonconcepts.com to servicewriterbook.com. And then anyone that went to vonconcepts.com would just go to the website for servicewriterbook.com. Kind of cool, right? And then subdomains, that's a little more tricky, but think of it like an apartment, okay? So you can have an apartment building, and then you have apartments within the building. That's what a subdomain is like. So the domain might be, Evershire apartment building, and then apartment 101 would be a subdomain to Evershire apartment building. Okay. And then you can build separate websites within each of those subdomains. It's a pretty cool deal. But again, involved and not required to get your business started or online. So the main thing was getting a domain. So if I go to purchase a domain, I can go through the menu here, or if you look over here at the top right, we've got a thing that says purchase domain. So we can say purchase domain. Now, remember yesterday in episode 1 of getting started, I said, don't do this process until you're ready to purchase. When you start searching for a term, it's like, I don't want to say everyone sees what you're doing all the time, okay? But you know how you can talk out loud in a room and you could say, I'm interested in, hey, Emma Sue, did you see those new coffee cups? blah, blah, blah. Those coffee cups are awesome. I wish I had a coffee cup like that. And then the next time you sign into Facebook, your ads on the side are showing you ads for coffee cups, right? That's kind of how this works. You're going to go into domain name and you're going to type stuff in. And you can see I was looking at stuff for challenge, right? Socialchallenge.com, yourchallenge.com, challenge.com. So I was looking for things when I was doing the challenge connection that came up. So let's say I do challenge.com. Okay. And we'll say check. So I say check. What is it checking? It's checking to see if somebody else already has that name. Now, no matter what people tell you on the internet, .coms are still like the thing to have, right? So that's not available. And then we can look at all these other options that it already sends me, right? And so it's going to say, okay, is that available? No, it's not available. And so let's say we go to challengespot.com. Okay, so I go challengespot.com and that'll do its little search. Challengespot.com is taken, but challengespot.net, .org, .online, .site, .website, .space, .tech, .store, those are all available. So if I wanted to buy one of those, I could build a website on it, right? Now, challengespot.net is $14.99. I can add that to my cart and buy it. .org is $9.99. .online is $4.99. Remember what I said, .coms are always the thing to have, right? And so, because think when someone says, oh, .website or .co or .io or it always takes people off their center line a little bit, right? Everyone's conditioned for a .com. And so if you can find something that matches that's .com, well, then that's what you want to do, right? So let's say challenge George. Let's hope that nobody has a challenge George, right? So challengegeorge.com. It's thinking, right? So it's doing its search, and challengegeorge.com is available and it's $12.99. Now, when I pick it, it's going to put it in the shopping cart. I'm going to say next, and it's going to go to a shopping cart, and it's automatically going to give me some things. Do I want to automatically renew it, or do I want to not automatically renew it? Do I want to buy privacy for $15 a year? What is domain privacy? Privacy means it'll be registered under Bluehost instead of registered under yourself. I typically don't use privacy. I turn that off. I don't care if people know that I own the websites. I'm not putting stuff out there where I'm afraid that people are going to come to get me, right? And so I just say, I leave it open. Renewal rates and redemption fees can be found here. And then I agree, right? So you have to agree. Now, when I say add to cart, it's going to add it in at 2 years automatically, and it's going to be about $25. And we'll see this right here. So boom, $25.98. Okay. So at this point of the game, you can put in anything that you want. You can use your PayPal, you can use a credit card. You're going to click checkout, and then you're going to have that URL. Let me back out of here real quick, because I am not buying challengegeorge.com to make you guys happy. Let's go over to domains, and I'm going to say my domains. Now, the reason I'm going to my domains is I want to show you what you get. So you're going to buy the domain. And, for the example, we picked challengegeorge.com, but let's take a look at some other things that I've got on my little shopping list. Okay. I've got Von Concepts, servicewriterbook.com, kurtvananand.com, anonymous.com, Boulder Creek Bounce Houses, Taxi. I got all these different projects that I have put in here, and you'll notice there's different colored tags. So I have podinterchange.com. That was a project I wanted to figure out what I would use as a name for people that have podcasts and want to exchange their podcast material with other people. And so I had these different things. So I had the Pod Show Exchange, the Podcast Interchange, the Pod Interchange, and there was different ideas that I was fleshing out there. The Pod Show Exchange is the one that I built, and you'll see it's an add-on, right? And these other ones are unassigned. So unassigned means I bought the URL, but I haven't pointed it to anything yet. I own the URL, but it doesn't have email or web building capabilities or anything yet. I just reserved the URL. I reserved the name so that someone else can't reserve it. Remember I said, don't start searching or get ready to pull the trigger until you're ready to pay for it. That's because I don't want someone else to start searching it or see something that you didn't buy and then jump in and buy it. And then you go back to get it and it's not available anymore. That's really frustrating, right? So when you see it's available, you got to be ready to swipe the card and take it right then and there. And then you buy it and you have it. And then it comes up as unassigned. Okay. So if we take a look at, remember I challenge, here we go. So I own challengecommunity.com. I own challengefacebook.com, and I own the challengeconnection.com. Okay. So I did kind of a proof of concept roundtable, kind of like a focus group with a certain circle of professionals that I network with. And we decided as a group that challengefb.com was not the one for us. Challengecommunity.com was not the one for us, even though it was a close second, but Challenge Connection was that one. Challenge Connection was the one that spoke to what we did. And so when I wanted to make that a website, I went over to manage and I adjusted it. And this is how you do that. So let's say we go and do that with Challenge Community. So I go to Challenge Community. Whoops, let me move my face. Okay, so I go to Challenge Community and you see right here, assign, renewal, change the contact information, change security settings, DNS. DNS is how the internet finds it, right? And so that's something we'll discuss way down the road. Redirects and subdomains. So assign is what you want to do. You want to assign the URL to your account so that you can build websites and emails off of that. And I just need to say that I apologize for the distractions if you hear that on the speaker. Landscapers are out at a neighbor's house and it's making their dog go absolutely insane. So if you hear a weed whacker and a dog barking, that's because I live in a house. All right, folks, that's as far as I want to go for this session. Again, I wanted to show you that you can reserve the URL and hold, right? Take your idea, think about what your idea would be called, figure out what that URL would be, and then reserve it and hold it so that someone else can't take it from you, okay? Get the name reserved, and then when you're ready to build or add emails to that, like you say you want to start using an email right away, you would assign that email. And then once it's assigned, and the system shows you how to do it, says assign it as, as its own domain. So you assign it, and then you can literally go into the control panel there and say, well, I want email, or I want to add a WordPress website, or I want to, and we will walk through some of those processes. But for folks that have been around for a long time, you're going to see some of this content and you're going to be like, wow, Kurt really drove that down to like beyond simple. And there's a reason I'm doing that, right? I think it's so important that we focus on the why here with this project. Vaxpreneur is not a community for other WordPress professionals to come in and talk about, super high level platforms that they're using or plugins that they're adding for connectivity and automations and all these things that websites can do. It is the opposite side of the spectrum. There are tons of people out there that are finding themselves in a position of having to start from scratch. And so there's so many resources out there that we can lose focus on the people starting from scratch. And so I want to give very clear instructions on how to get started and not get lost or not get taken advantage of by companies or initiatives that are trying to sell you something that you do not need. So again, my advice, head to Bluehost, reserve your URL, get your domain reserved, and then assign it if it's something you want to use right away. And we're going to have more content coming that says, hey, what do I do with this once it's assigned? And we'll probably use the challenge community as our test bunny through this. And we'll start building on that to show you how to add a website to it, how to add email to it, and how to start getting it viewed by people on the internet. So stay with me, folks. I think this is going to be great. And you know what, if you are in a position of, I didn't really think I'd be self-employed, but now I got to look at the option, this is the place for you to be. And I encourage you to share this with others and help people realize that they're not alone in this problem as well. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.